The purpose of this video is to give a few ideas for when students begin practicing writing their name. Children beginning kindergarten in our district are expected to write their first name coming into kindergarten with an uppercase letter at the beginning and lowercase letters following as appropriate. Here are some ideas of ways you could practice writing names. One way is just tracing the child's name with his or her index finger, much like they would have traced the letters on the back of the alphabet chart. In this case, an adult has written the child's name first and has even given some dots to indicate where to begin the letter formation. So Avery could trace his or her name just like this. And again, the my turn, your turn approach could be used. The adult could say my turn and could model, and then your turn and the child could try. That could be letter by letter, or it could be the whole name. Another way that a child could practice writing his or her name when they're first learning is, again, to have the adult write out the child's name and then do something that we call rainbow writing. It's just taking the finger tracing and moving it to using a crayon or a marker, whatever is comfortable or of interest to the child. And then the child just practices tracing his or her name with one color and then switches to another color. So just changing out what color crayon or marker they're using. The important thing to watch is to make sure that the child writes their whole name with one color and then goes back and writes their whole name with the next color. That just is practicing as we intend to go on, because when they get to school and they're writing their names at the top of their paper, they'll be writing their whole name. So take out the green crayon and trace every letter with the green crayon. Then take out the orange crayon and trace the whole name with the orange crayon, etc. If an adult is watching, watch for proper letter formation. The back side of the alphabet chart could be used as well. If you've watched previous videos, we've talked about using a wipe-off pen to practice tracing letters, and you could just identify the letters in the child's name. So here, Avery's name, all of the letters in Avery's name have been traced, and Avery would have traced them in order, A, V, E, R, Y. So finding those letters and then tracing them. And finally, the child could use the back side of that alphabet chart and just pick the blank lines to write his or her name to get some practice that way. If the handwriting lines feel too limiting, and oftentimes they can be for early writers, it's perfectly fine to take a blank piece of paper and just let the child practice his or her name on that, or even make a single line and see if they can rest their letters on that single line rather than having to conform to the lines for handwriting. There will be plenty of time to practice with handwriting lines, so when they're first learning, sometimes a blank piece of paper is more helpful.